following podcast contains spoilers and words like fuck and Mate, did we watch a thing this week?
Yeah, we did. Hey there, thanks for joining us here at We Watched a Thing. As usual, he's Billy, I'm Topher. How you doing?
I'm exceptional, my friend. What a good to 2020, mate.
What a year.
What a year.
You may have heard, Billy, a year like no other.
Yes, unprecedented. In these unprecedented times. I've not heard that this year, actually. That's a first for me. How have you been, though? Good year for you, though, mate. You got a kid.
Well, she's asleep at the moment, so I suppose that's all you can ask for, isn't it?
Well, I mean, that's every parent's dream, isn't it?
Yeah. Just get them asleep.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much brandy or whatever else you're sticking them to get them there. That's entirely besides the point.
That's right. You're not a real parent until you've finurgened your children. You go to the chemist and they're like, what's this for? And you're like, allergies. And the pharmacist gives you that knowing nod.
You just hope that they're a parent too, and they're like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, and that's when you know you're a parent. What are we doing this week, mate? We didn't really watch a movie, did we?
Speak for yourself. I've watched movies, but that's not the point of this week's episode.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay. I guess we both watched movies. In fact, we saw one together, but...
We did. We went on a little We Watched a Thing date. But not what we're here for.
No, not what we're here for at all. What are we doing this week, mate?
Well, it's the end of the year, so being a movie podcast, we are contractually obliged to do a top 5 list.
That's right. It is the custom. How did you go making your list this year? We had a little chat about it. I don't know what is actually on your list, but how did you go making it?
How did I go about making it? Well, as the year went by, if I saw a good movie, I wrote it down in this little best of 2020 note I have on my phone.
You smart ass. You know what I meant? I meant was hard to whittle it down.
And so then today I was like, all right, what's the best 5 movies on there?
Did you find it hard to whittle it down at all? Like, how long was your list by the end of the year?
I did not find it very difficult.
Me neither. I had 4 films that I had rated a 9. So it was like, okay, well, they're my top 4. And then I just had to kind of battle out the films that I had rated as an 8. So, I mean, this is like, what, our 4th year doing this? Every year I still feel like, how do we do this? Do we alternate? Is that what we do?
We do tend to alternate, and also important to note that these are not ranked.
That's what I was going to ask, yeah. Mine actually are ranked 5 to 1 for the first time.
All right, well, fine. I don't fucking care, mate. You do you. See if I don't give a shit.
All right, well, why don't you kick us off since you're all in an angry mood?
Also important to note that these are films that came out for us in 2020. So there are films in here, probably, I don't know your list, but there's probably 2019 films here that we didn't get till Jan, Feb, whatever. So if you're like, you guys are tripping, that's not a film from this year, we get it, but that's when we got it, so deal with it. So, not necessarily my 5th favourite film of the year, but
actually, just before you start, I have to ask, do you think we'll have any crossover?
Okay, I'm looking at my list. We may have... It's going to be 1 or 0.
Okay, all right.
There's 3 on my list that you haven't seen.
Okay, that does sound like me.
Well, I don't think you've seen them anyway.
That tracks.
I mean, that's the drinking game you could play with these episodes, is drink every time Billy says, yeah, haven't seen it.
All right. Okay, smartass. You kick us off, and I hope I have seen your first movie.
Okay, you have seen this one. Listeners to the show know that I was a fan of it in a shock to absolute nobody because it is David Fincher's Mank.
Yeah, didn't crack my 5.
Look, there are movies, I would say, looking at my list here, that the other 4 films, it's fair to say, grab me more than Mank does. But I also just hugely admire the craft of this film.
I have one film like that on my list where I'm like, it was really tough to put it there, but at the same time, I admired what it was doing so much, it was hard for me not to have it there. So I completely understand that reasoning.
That's Bloodshot, yeah?
Yeah. Yep. Which is my number 1. I mean,
do you remember when theaters closed down and for so long the last thing we saw at the movies, like for months and months, the last thing we'd seen at the movies was Bloodshot.
Here's the thing about that, though. It's interesting that has actually kind of made me have like this weird fond spot for Bloodshot, where I'm like, I know it's not a good movie, but I kind of feel warm and fuzzy about it.
Half of what you said is right. It's not a good movie.
No, of course it's not on my list. Do you have anything else to say about Mank?
No, if you want to know more about what we thought of Mank, we did an episode on it, and I think it's very good.
Well, my number one is a film that I know you've seen. We spoke about it. And
your number one or your number five, and therefore first on your list?
Oh, okay. That's a good point. Well, let's go down then.
I mean, it's up to you. You're the one that ordered it.
No, you're right. I'll start with five.
All I will say is that if I was you, I'd go 5-1. Build up to it.
Okay, I'll start with 5 then. My number 5 is a film that, again, we did on the show. And at the time, I was almost lukewarm on it. But this is the one that, for me, the more I think about it, the more I appreciate what it was doing and how it went about it. And that film is 1917. Mm-hmm. When I first saw this film, I didn't think it would crack my top 5. I liked it, but I certainly didn't love it. But the more I reflect on how this film was put together and just what an achievement that is in its own right, I couldn't not have this on the list. This was the one for me that was battling out with a bunch of other films that I'd given an 8 to. But I don't know. There's something about this movie that it is joyful to watch almost, even though it is such a dark subject.
I haven't revisited it. Anyone that did listen to our episode knows that I did like that film. But like a lot of other people, I probably thought it was more of a technical marvel than it was a great film. Having said that, I still liked it.
Yeah. All right. What do you got next?
Well, speaking of films that are not from 2020, Terence Malick's A Hidden Life.
Ah, interesting. Yes, we didn't do an episode on this, but I remember you telling me when you saw it.
Yeah, if you're not a Terence Malick fan, don't watch this film. Yeah. It is Terence Malick as fuck. And if you're into that kind of thing, it's pretty great.
Yes, you've got to be in the mood for a pretty slow burn, yeah?
It's a slow burn. It's pretentious as the day is long. And it's bloody excellent.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen the last couple he made before this because word was that he'd kind of really gone maybe too far down the Malek hole.
There's some kind of visual about the term Malek hole that I just don't like.
like Knight of Cups and a couple around there. I was like, oh, you may... I don't know that I need this in me, Terry.
Yeah.
But A Hidden Life, real good. I'm back in the Malek hole.
You clawed your way back into the Malek hole.
Oh, mate, dove in head first.
All right, my number 4 is the second film that we did an episode on. And this is a film that, again, I think I liked a lot more than you at the time, which I think will probably be clear because I don't think this is going to be on your list. And that film is Defy Bloods, which excellent screenplay by Spike Lee. Yes, there is some stuff that could be tightened a little, but I think the filmmaking is so good. And this is such an acting powerhouse of a film. I think the entire cast is insanely good in this film. And I think it's almost a shame that it came out so long ago that I think it will be forgotten by the Academy. Because there was a time where...
I still think Delroy Lindo's getting a nomination, personally.
Yeah, I would... I mean, I haven't seen a lot better than him this year. I don't think he's going to win, though.
It depends if they run him in lead or supporting, and you could go either way with that character.
Well, it really is such an ensemble cast that
exactly.
You absolutely could. So, and I guess, that also then depends on whether they run Boseman in lead or supporting for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Exactly, because everyone's just going to be like, get out of the way of Defy Blood co-star Chadwick Boseman.
Exactly. So, I really loved this film at the time, and I love it even more on reflection. I know that you weren't as hot on it, but from memory, you did like it.
I liked it. I certainly wasn't as high on it as you were. In this last week, I was like, Defy Bloods will be on Billy's list. What I should really do is get around to watching David Byrne's American Utopia so that I could like snootily say that Da 5 Bloods wasn't even Spike Lee's best film of the year, but I didn't get around to saying it, and I didn't get to say not even his best film of the year.
Yeah. Okay.
But that would have been a great moment.
Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of snuck it in there anyway, didn't you, mate? All right. What's your next one?
My next one. Okay, I'm going to stick with 2019 films that we didn't get until this year. And this is the film Atlantics.
Ah, yes.
Which I haven't revisited it since, so it's been almost a year since I saw it. It's one of those films I'm almost too scared to go back to because I can't imagine the experience of watching it again will live up to what it was like. This was the best movie watching experience I have had in years.
I remember you particularly talking about the cinematography in it.
Unbelievable. Same cinematographer as Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Like in the space, and I saw those two movies within weeks of each other and was just like, oh my God, who is this person? It's just like one of those people who, going forward, you'd be like, if all I knew about a movie is that she was the cinematographer, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
I fucking loved Atlantics.
Tell me what it's about. It's a French film, yeah?
It is French, but it's set in Africa. And a bunch of young men set off in search of work across the Mediterranean, and then the women they're lost at sea, and the women in their lives are left with that loss. And then the movie goes in a direction that you're like, oh wow, kind of like Parasite, where you're like, oh, I didn't realize this is the movie I was watching.
Yeah.
Atlantics does that in a big way. If I was to tell you what that is that it does, it would sound fucking stupid. But I bit down hard on it. I fucking love this film.
Yeah, right. I'll definitely have to check it out. Speaking of 2019 films that we didn't get in 2019, this was nearly one of two films featuring this actor on my list that I never thought would make a top 5 list in anything for me. It's Honeyboy, written by Shia LaBeouf, starring Shia LaBeouf as his own father, and it is an exceptional film. Did you end up getting to this?
I haven't seen it. I didn't see his little, he had that 2 months where everyone was like, hey, Shia's back, and now that's over. now we hate Shia again.
Yeah. Because within the space of, like, as you say, 2 months, we got this and Peanut Butter Falcon, which very nearly made my list as well. But this is such a great film. It's very reminiscent of, say, like The Florida Project, a little bit more stylized and less, realism as that's going for. But, geez, it's a great written film. And the acting by both him and Noah Jupe, who plays young Shia LaBeouf, just fantastic, really bloody good.
But now he's back in movie prison.
Well, as he should be.
And possibly actual prison.
Possibly real prison. Baby steps.
My next one is a spoiler.
Oh.
It's a spoiler for listeners of an upcoming episode. It's a spoiler for you because we haven't spoken about it yet.
Oh my goodness.
Because like 2 days ago, we went off to the movies together. Our local Dendy Cinema was good enough to invite us to a screening of Nomad Land, Chloe Zhao's new film starring Frances McDormand. It won the Golden Lion at Venice. It is the current frontrunner with the bookies for the Oscars. And that's because it's really fucking good.
Wow. Now this is a spoiler because we even went to lunch after and everything, but we didn't really talk about the movie. And yeah, as you say, shout out to Lucy from Dendy for giving us tickets to that event screening. That was wonderful. Okay. Well, yeah, we haven't recorded about that yet. We're going to do that after this, but spoiler for me, I don't rate it that highly. That said, and I did say this to you at lunch, Frances McDormand is incredible in that movie. So this crept into your top 5. It did.
It did.
Did you know that immediately after watching, or did you have to sit on it for a bit?
No, this one I sat on for a couple of days and then looked at the list and was like, yeah, that's in.
All right. Well, let's keep the disagreement train going because you knew this was coming. My number 2 is The Invisible Man.
Okay.
Phenomenal film. Phenomenal film.
That's, if one of the best 5 films of the year for you is one with a final 45 minutes that's actually actively pretty bad, that's fine.
Elizabeth, as I just said about Frances McDormand, you cannot deny that Elizabeth Moss is outstanding in this film.
Mate, you're talking to a West Wing fan. I've been on the Moss train since the late 90s.
Mate, I saw Donna in something the other day.
Really?
Yeah, Donna is in The Undoing.
I had no
show.
idea that she had a post-Wing career.
Oh, mate, Donna rocks it. I mean, she's only in the first episode and then her character inexplicably disappears with no reason why other than just she's not there anymore. But
she goes to Mandy Land.
Yeah.
Hey, cut there for the West Wing fans. But The Invisible Man.
I really love The Invisible Man, and I love it more every time I watch it. I think it's really smartly written film it blends genres so well, and who would have thought that a genre film like this would be such a realistic depiction of domestic violence and abuse? And it just had so many things to say that you wouldn't have expected from a sci-fi horror thriller like this. I absolutely adore this film.
Yeah, I agree with you for the first hour of the film. Honestly, at the 1 hour mark of that film, I was arguably an 8 out of 10.
Right.
Then the third half hour I thought was middling, and then the fourth half hour I was like, this is pretty bad.
Nah, it held me the whole way. I get that opinion, but I think I was just so into it. I think the cinematography is brilliant in this film. I think Leigh Whannell, when he's on fire, he's on fire. I think he does an exceptional job directing, really. I loved this film. It was a 9 for me, and I've rewatched it since, and it held that. So, second best film of the year for me. Back to you, mate. This is your final one, isn't it?
This is my final one. A bit sad that you haven't said, I haven't seen it yet. You can do it here if you want. Unless you have seen this and I don't know about it.
Maybe.
My final pick is Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always.
Oh, great film. No, I haven't seen it.
Incredibly impactful film. It's such a quiet, contained movie that then, when it chooses to, just whacks you, and it's incredibly effective. The central performance is brilliant. Just a hard recommend on Never, Rarely, Sometimes. And one of the very rare occasions, we talk about this occasionally, how normally bad it is when the title of the film is said in the film. In this film, the sequence involving Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always is just the most captivating shit you can imagine.
I've heard a little about this, but remind me what it's about.
So a teenage girl from rural Pennsylvania wants to have an abortion. And so she and her cousin set off to New York City for this purpose. And that's the movie.
Yeah, cool. All right, definitely on my list. All right. My number one, again, a film that technically came out in 2019. We didn't get it till New Year. I love this film. I know that you liked it as well. I'm talking about Eggers' The Lighthouse.
Yeah. Good trip.
Yeah. I just think for me, and, you were talking earlier about Atlantics being your best, film watching experience this year. I had the exact same experience with The Lighthouse. I've never seen anything that for me is so defined as cinema. Like, this film is art. And I didn't even get, the full big screen experience. I watched this on a slow day at work at the start of the year on, my little monitor, and I was still just so blown away by what was happening on screen. I just think it is so beautifully put together. As you say, a complete trip. Like, it puts you in a really strange headspace, but I loved this film so much. Almost as soon as I saw it, I knew that nothing would beat it for my top of the year.
Yeah, it was very good at the cinema. Just so
I can imagine because the cinematography is absolutely stunning. It was nominated last year for cinematography, didn't win, but beautiful looking film.
And just further proof, Robert Pattinson is the fucking best.
Yeah. The fact that he is going toe-to-toe with Dafoe in this film, who, you know, we know how great Dafoe is, and those two, there's no divide between them. They're absolutely fantastic chemistry together in this film.
Pattinson's great. Anyone who is yet to jump on that train because of some kind of Twilight hangover, easy if you're me and you haven't seen those films. But even if that is the case and you haven't yet realised that Pattinson rocks, Pattinson fucking rocks.
How are you feeling for the Batman?
I'm going in with an open heart to the Batman. I'm giving it every chance to be good.
Yeah, I'm pretty keen. I don't think that he can do as well as Affleck did because
of course you don't, but that's not based in any kind of reality, so that's fine.
Fuck you. All right, well that's our top fives of the year. That was a bit of fun,
but we're not done yet, are we?
Oh yeah, I did make that list. I did. Because this is a fun thing we do. I love this tradition that you brought to the show. Can you remind us again how this came to you?
Okay. It didn't. Not my idea. Stole it from someone.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Who said that the Oscars should be given out 10 years after the fact, because that's when we've had time to really assess these films properly after they've sat with us for a while. You don't get caught up in a campaign by unnamed, disgraced Hollywood producers as much, you would think. So, in a world where 10 years after where you're giving out awards 10 years after the fact, Green Book doesn't win.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
In that spirit, we do our top 5 of 10 years ago.
How did you go making your list this year?
Actually, this one was pretty easy for me.
Really? I always find this really hard the 10 years after, mainly because my memory is so bad. Like firstly I go through my library of, what I own and I try work that out. Then I do my Googling, best films of, and I found this year a lot harder than I thought it would be.
And look, there's definite holes in my 2010 viewing. Winter's Bone was a favourite of a lot of people's that year. Haven't seen it.
Yeah, same. Yep. So we were talking earlier in the week and you said that you suspected we may have as many as 3 crossovers.
It's possible. I'm sure that won't happen. I know we'll have one crossover, but
I know we'll have one.
There's 2 others on mine that, I wouldn't put money on them being on your list, but I have 2 films that I know you like. So,
okay,
it's possible.
This will be interesting. This part could be short then. All right, you kick us off again though. And maybe start with the one that you think we're least likely to cross over on. I have not ordered my 2010.
Least likely. Okay. The one we are least likely to cross over on, it will shock you to hear,
yeah,
is a documentary on Formula One driver Ayrton Senna called Senna.
Yes.
Which is a brilliant film. Absolutely brilliant. Fun fact. The longest running feud that my brother and I have is we had these 2 Formula One cars when we were little. There was Nigel Mansell's Ferrari and Ayrton Senna's McLaren. To this day, we both think that Ayrton Senna's McLaren was ours and that Nigel Mansell's Ferrari was the other one's. My brother is wrong. Senna's was mine. I have a long emotional attachment to the dearly departed Senna. And this documentary absolutely rules. I have no gauge as to whether this documentary works if you are not already interested. I don't know how to come at that at all.
Maybe I could be that gauge because I'm not at all interested. So maybe I'll watch it and I'll report back.
And if you know the story, I think it's more powerful rather than less, is my guess.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Good one. I have no documentaries on my list, but my one that I think we're least likely to cross over on is a Studio Ghibli anime film. It's called The Secret World of Arietti. I adore this film.
I don't know this film at all. I don't think I've ever heard of this film.
You know that I'm a massive Studio Ghibli fan. I think that this is their prettiest film. I think that this is their most stunningly animated work. It's an adaptation of The Borrowers. You remember The Borrowers, like the little people who steal things? Yeah. So it's an adaptation of that, and it is so beautifully put together. And in typical Studio Ghibli form, it rather than just the story being the story, thematically it's got a lot going on about, you know, the environment and how certain people are treated and all that kind of stuff. And I just adored this film. I was lucky enough to actually see this in Japanese at the cinema back in 2010. And I've rewatched it at least a year since, because it's just so beautiful and it touches me in places that only, you know, Ghibli films can. So
Yuck.
But if you haven't seen it, which I'm guessing a lot of people haven't, because even as far as Ghibli goes, it's not, you know, it's not up there with like Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke, but I'm telling you now that for me anyway, this is one of their best. So check it out.
Okay, the next one that I think won't be on your list is a bit of old-timey Denis Villeneuve. Incendies, or Unsundies, I think maybe is how it's meant to be said, but I'll just say Incendies because that's how it looks.
I believe this is the one Villeneuve I haven't seen.
This is it's not a date movie. It's
so typical Villeneuve then.
It's not the feel-good flick of the summer. But predictably, given the filmmaker, very good film.
Yeah, right.
Very good film.
What is it about? I know nothing about it other than the title.
It's about a woman trying to piece together her past and present.
Okay.
You just can't go into any detail about the film because you don't want to know a lot about it going in.
Consider it on my list. I know I say that about so many movies, but I'll add it to the pile, the ever-growing pile.
Right after Senna.
Yeah. My next one, which to be honest, this is the only other film I have on my 5 that I'm like certain we won't cross over on. My last other three that I'm like, there's always a chance. So this is Insidious. Which I know you might find surprising because listeners of the show will remember that we went to see Insidious 4 together in our first year of the show, and that was the biggest pile of shit ever. But fuck, has this franchise fallen, because the first Insidious film is really, really good, and it is really, really scary. It and The Conjuring came out around the same time from memory. I think The Conjuring was maybe a little bit after this because it's not a 2010 film. But, really, really good, scary film if you're in for that kind of thing.
Which I am not.
Which you're not, which is why I knew that this would not be on your list. All right.
Yeah, that one didn't take a lot of piecing together, did it? Okay. Film that might be on your list.
Okay, let's see.
This film, we'll do a little guessing game.
Okay.
This film spawned a TV series by the same name.
Okay, no, I'm not there yet.
All right, guessing game over. It's Animal Kingdom.
Ah, yes. Fantastic film. I have not watched the TV series yet. Why didn't this make my list? I actually didn't see this coming across my research, so it just completely slipped my radar. Great film, though.
Very good film. It's strange when in an ensemble cast, our Guy Pearce, is not best on ground.
No. Because, Jackie Weaver is in it.
Jackie Weaver's amazing. Before he was famous, Ben Mendelsohn is just...
Yes.
Kind of classic Mendelsohn, just being a revolting pile of a human being and just knocking it out of the park. He's so good. Fucking good film.
You know, even though we've both seen it, we should do it sometime, because one request that we've gotten basically since we started is to do some more Aussie films. And it is hard because most of these really great ones we've both seen. But yeah, that is a cracker of a film. That very well could have made my list had I actually remembered that was from 2010. So I've got 3. I know that at least one of them isn't on your list, but I don't know which one. I'm going to take a guess and say this one is not on your list. It is a Pixar sequel, Toy Story 3.
It's not on my list.
Okay.
Some of that is the fact that I swim completely against the tide here and think that 3 is actually in 4th place in the franchise. I think that 3 is just a not quite as good 2.
I still think that 3 is better than 4. This is the one, though, that had I remembered about Animal Kingdom, this would have been cut off. Like I didn't order my list, but as you can see looking at my phone, or maybe you can't because it's too bright, this is the one that's written down 5th. I still think this film is very good as far as sequels go.
I was going to say, yeah, let's be clear. Toy Story 3 is fantastic.
It's very good. Like, it is a third film that is better than most first films.
That's certainly true.
Yes.
Yes.
So, yeah. Just snuck on for me. I'm happy that it didn't make your list, though. So, I mean, let's see what you got next.
Do you reckon I cried at the end of Toy Story 3?
No, but neither did I, and I cry in fucking everything.
Oh, that's weird.
I know, right?
That's really weird.
I cried in the 4th one. I mean, my daughter was watching Up today, and I had to leave the room.
Okay, all right. My next one that could be a crossover.
Okay.
Because I'm really swimming in Billy's pond here.
Oh yeah, this is a crossover then.
So I have Ben Affleck's The Town.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So we can just stop this gimmick now because our next 2 are crossovers. Then, yeah, The Town is exceptional, and
The Town rules.
One of the best things about The Town is that as an Affleck fan, you know, he completely crushes it with Gone Baby Gone. And you're like, yeah, that's my boy up there. That's him proving that he has chops and he's not just the guy who sat on the couch eating Cheetos while Matt Damon wrote Good Will Hunting. This guy actually has talent. That also did happen. But, you know, Gone Baby Gone just proved he had talent. And then this just completely backed it up to say, yeah, this guy is not a joke. It wasn't a fluke. He is an incredible filmmaker as well as actor.
I like this film more than Argo.
Oh, yeah. It goes Gone Baby Gone, The Town, Argo.
Yeah, I think that Affleck's directing career has actually been diminishing returns for his 4 films.
Yeah, but that's what was great about this second one. It was before.
Yeah, because this film, like, I do think it is just genuinely a really good film, but it's also just wildly entertaining.
It is.
It's just a great ride.
Great performances all around.
Jeremy Blake just killing it.
Yeah, Blake Lively, who I'm not usually that huge a fan of, fantastic in this film.
Absolutely, doing God knows what to Affleck's marriage at the time.
Who was he married to at this point? Was this Garner?
Garner, yeah.
Yeah, poor Jennifer Garner.
Poor Jennifer.
She's the forgotten Jennifer.
It's true.
It is true. If I say the name Jennifer to you, how far down the list is she? I mean, you go like, you know, Aniston,
Connolly,
Lopez. You got a million Jennifers before you get to Garner. You might not even think of Garner. If I gave you 15 seconds to list Jennifers, you might not get to Garner.
Well, you'll get that when you're in Daredevil. Though Affleck somehow escaped.
Yeah, no, I agree. Phenomenal film. And then, of course, I mean, well, we both know that, of course, the best film of 2010, I think we did our best films of the decade only last year, and this was on both of them. It's The Social Network.
Yes, and if we're doing the Oscars for 2010 now, I think a pretty reasonable chance that this beats The King's Speech, just quietly.
Not only did I not come across Animal Kingdom on anything I looked at today, I didn't come across The King's Speech either. It wasn't on.
I did see The King's Speech somewhere. Someone had it at number 2, and I was like,
"Insane!
That's a dud list, mate." Although you know what, I have not seen The King's Speech since the cinema in 2010. I remember liking that movie. I didn't think it was great, but I liked it. Yeah, haven't felt the need to revisit it. But I've watched The Social Network an awful lot of times because it is an absolute fucking masterwork.
I rewatched it not 2 months ago, and it holds up in every level. Like, everything about that film comes together so well. The tight fucking dialogue, and Fincher's. I'm gonna say I think that it's Fincher's best directed film, and it all just sings together so well. Everything about that film just works. Like, you're not even a Jesse Eisenberg fan, but I mean...
No, Jesse Eisenberg's had like one really good role.
And it's this.
It's this.
Yeah. Fantastic movie.
I mean, who'd have thought, like, when it was like, oh, Justin Timberlake's going to be in this film? And it was like, oh my God, he's fucking great.
I mean, even before that, it's just when the first thing you heard was, oh, they're making a Facebook movie? And everyone was like,
Facebook the movie?
Facebook the movie?
And then it was like, wait, Aaron Sorkin's writing Facebook the movie?
Yeah.
What is that? What's going on there?
Yeah. Yeah, no one saw this coming, and it's still one of the best films of the last 20 years.
Yes, there's not a year that goes by where I don't watch it, because it fucking rules.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's us done for another year, mate.
We've got a whole year to think about how we didn't have Bloodshot in our top 5.
Oh, you know what? I'm scrapping Defy Bloods and I'm putting in Bloodshot.
Or you just wait 10 years and do it then.
Yeah.
Be like, I've had a decade with it to give Bloodshot the time it needed to process, which is what that film deserves.
Do you think we'll still be doing this in 10 years?
No, not at all. I tell you, I'd have loved it if I could have found room in my 2010 list for Unstoppable.
I was really close. Chris Pine.
I love The Train That Won't Stop.
It's Chris Pine's best film. Honestly, it is. And I'm not slamming Chris Pine. I really like Unstoppable.
Yeah, just recently we were talking about who's the best of the Hollywood Chris's, and I was like, I'm on the Pine train.
Yeah, see, I do find that crazy because it's clearly Hemsworth.
Nah, like who would I rather do? Yeah, Hemsworth. But but Pine's the best.
All right. Root, shoot, and marry. Pine, Evans, Hemsworth.
Well, Evans is gone.
So you're gonna okay.
Clearly. Marry Pine. And what was the terminology for Hemsworth?
Root, mate.
Root. Okay.
You got to throw him a root. Right in his Malek hole.
That was the easiest question ever, actually.
Yeah. In hindsight, it's pretty easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. What are we getting to next week, mate?
Either Nomad Land, spoiler alert, I liked it, or Wonder Woman 1984.
That's right. We'll be recording on both of those this week, and I guess we'll play a little jazz with which one comes out first.
They will be the next 2 episodes.
We'll play with it. We'll play with it. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at wewatchedathing.com or wewatchedathing@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under the handle at wewatchedathing. If you want to help support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/wewatchedathing. We'll give you one more week as well to enter our competition. So if you want to get a review in for the show and send us a screenshot of it to either our email or any of our social medias, you'll go in the draw to win a t-shirt or mug. And that's it from us. Catch you next week.
Go watch a movie. Probably The Social Network.